All right. I'm going to do a master segue here. Donald Trump. See, that was a shitty segue. Can't do it, Lacey. You got to script some shit for me, man. All right.
So, speaking of, I don't know that you derailed any thought I could have had there. I was going to try to help you out. And I was like, no, that segue was so bad it even derailed my brain.
I'm
sorry, Duncan.
I'm trying to do this like the Sex Pistols. Like we're bad musicians, we're bad songwriters, and we're just going to lean into that.
Okay, so I have an idea. Let's give me 1 minute to have more coffee in my cup, and I'll come back and I'll say something way better than what you just said, which is still setting the bar really low.
Okay,
can we do that?
Yep, and I'm going to keep that in here, and then we'll just cut it here, and then we'll move to the next. Okay. All right.
Hello.
You ready to go back?
So I've got it.
All right.
Yep.
So Lacey's got the segue. Here we go.
So since we've been talking about the lowest common denominator, Duncan, I hear there's some updates we have to talk about on Mr. Trump.
Oh, what a fantastic segue. That was very well done.
Yeah, mine was better than yours, right?
No, vastly better. It was a lot more professional. Mine is just whatever. I just sort of trip over it like a chimp. Anyway, Mr. Trump.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So he's been in court for, recently for fraud. One of his many, many court cases, but fraud for his business. He's already been found guilty of fraud, and so have his two sons. So they wrapped up closing arguments. All right. Trump wanted to speak. The judge, well, of course, Alina Habba, his lawyer, who's a total F up, she screwed that up. The judge was like, okay, he can talk if he wants to, but he has to keep it to the point. He has to keep it to the point of the case. He can't do a campaign speech. He can't talk about me. He can't talk about my clerk. He can't talk about politics. He has to keep it to the case, right? To relevant factors of the case we're discussing. They didn't respond back, so the judge refused it. Then what happened was they showed up in court, gave the closing argument. Then they asked, well, Mr. Trump wants to speak. The judge said, all right, fine. So Trump started to speak, and this is what happened when Trump started to speak, because this was the closing argument of the fraud case. He's already been found guilty. It's just a matter of how guilty, right?
The prosecution due to present its closing arguments in Donald Trump's civil fraud trial after a dramatic scene in which the former president himself addressed the court. The judge had only allowed Trump to speak on the condition that he focus on the facts, but the president quickly veered into other territory, claiming he is an innocent man being persecuted, and the judge telling defense counsel, please control your client. To be clear, the former president has already been found liable of inflating the value of his properties to get favorable loan deals, and it's just the penalty that's left for the judge to decide, with Attorney General Letitia James seeking a $370 million judgment. NBC News has learned the judge will attempt to issue his ruling by the end of this month. MSNBC national correspondent Yasmin Vasugian is reporting for us outside the courtroom in New York. Vaughn Hilliard is in Urbandale, Iowa. Also with us, Renato Mariotti, former federal prosecutor. Okay, Yasmin, let's talk about what we're expecting to hear from the prosecution when they start their...
All right, we're going to cut that for a second. So Trump goes in. Judge says, all right, you can speak for a few minutes. Whatever. Go ahead. Just keep it to the case. And then he does this whole thing about, well, Biden and you and blah, 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 and I'm the victim and blah, 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 and all this shit. Just goes off and off and off and off. And the whole time he's got this scowl on his face. You saw the artist renderings, right? Well, let me pull this up real quick because I have to. This is so good. Can I yank this out? Oh, come on. Oh, where was it? Hang on. So Letitia James, on the other hand, while they were doing that, they had brief film before And Trump has got them. And Letitia James, they go to her, who's the prosecutor, right? The DA. And she's got this look on her face. It's not good when you and your attorneys are scowling and the prosecutor's looking like, I wish I could pull this up. I can't pull this up any bigger, but that was her look outside the courthouse. Can you see that, or is that too small?
No, I can see that.
Yeah, I wish I could pull that up bigger. Let me see if I can. Nope. But yeah, no, she was like a pig in shit. She had him dead to rights, and she knows it. So he's looking at $350 million in settlement, or $370 million. Sorry, not quite sure he has it.
A number like that takes your breath away, you know.
Well, on top of that fact, the other issue is that it looks like he's going to lose his rights to do any business in New York, and if that's the case, any other state in the United States, would you want to do business with him if he's banned from New York?
I mean, this could get into a whole political mumbo jumbo, but it also, yeah, I mean, it would cause a lot of pause. That's for sure.
Well, absolutely. I mean, it's one thing like, oh, okay, you're banned from doing business in Tennessee or Alabama. Okay, yeah, because it might have been because of they're racist or because of something stupid. But New York, it's like getting,
that's a big ban right there.
Yeah,
that's a big ban.
It's like getting banned in California or Washington or Oregon or Hawaii, major hub centers, right? Or Virginia or something like that. I mean, that's Pennsylvania. I mean, yeah. So that was really embarrassing. So he just basically screwed up and shat the bed like a jabroni. I mean, it was really embarrassing. But I want to pull this. This is MSNBC, and they were talking about this. And I want to criticize MSNBC in the corporate media a little bit because they're trying to spin this like it's worse than it is, or like this was like a big win for Trump or something, even though he's about to get hosed. I'm sure the judge, whose name is Judge Engoron, I'm sure he's already made his decision. He's just got to finish writing it out. I'm sure he's got most of it written already. So I'm sure this was all not a big deal for him. But we're going to watch this, and we're going to watch, I want to talk to, so this is MSNBC, and they have Barbara McQuade, who's an attorney, who's a really ultra sharp lady. I mean, and she's going to set the MSNBC host straight, because the MSNBC host is trying to do the moderate, media friendly kind of approach, and Barbara McQuade just brings her back down to earth, and it's really fascinating to watch because Barbara McQuade is kind of the tit. So Barbara McQuade is on the right here, on the far right, and on the far left is the host.
Peter, let's look at today. Has Donald Trump gamed the media yet again? He figured out that we will not cover his rallies where he just gets up there and spouts lies, but we all show up at court where he just puts on the same show.
Yeah, look, this is his campaign, right? His campaign this year, and this is not just today, we're going to see this time and time again all year, is going to be from the courthouse steps. And, look, certainly it's a more comfortable place to be for him than in 0-degree Iowa with the snow, but he can make the point to his base anyway. And the point is, I'm a victim, I'm being persecuted. Don't pay attention to the fact that
so this was his look in court. You see that? Look at that scowl. Yeah, that's a man who's winning his case.
the legal system has already determined that I am a fraud when it comes to valuation of my properties. The judge has already made that determination. The only question at this point is whether or not he's going to have to pay for it and how much. So, he is speaking to an audience beyond the court today, and he's using the courthouse steps to be his campaign. We've never seen anything like this, of course. No presidential campaign has been conducted this way, but no president or presidential candidate has ever been charged with 91 felonies, and this isn't even one of them today. This is a civil trial. We haven't even gotten to the criminal cases yet.
Barbara, let's talk about the judge who originally said, nope, Trump cannot get up here and speak. And if he does, no grievances, no nonsense. The judge then changed his mind, gave him 5 minutes, and Trump got up there and did exactly what we thought he was going to do. Are there no consequences for him?
Yeah, Trump is fond of saying that he gets singled out for special treatment by the courts, and that special treatment is better than anyone else would get.
So why does he get it?
He is not held. Yeah, he's not held at a higher standard. He's given a special treatment. I think the judge wanted to avoid exactly this scenario. He said, if you want to present your closing argument, you can, but you have to abide by the same rules all of the lawyers abide by, referring only to the evidence, talking about the facts, talking about the law, not engaging in hyperbole or insults. And so instead, that's exactly what Trump proceeded to do. The judge indulged it to some extent when he asked the lawyers to control their client. Donald Trump just sort of ended things and stormed off in a huff. So he said what he wanted to say, and he made the points that I think will score points with his base.
So he wins the day. Why are there no consequences for him?
Well, I think Judge Engoron knows that he has the ultimate decision and the ultimate power here because he's going to decide this case. He has the ability to impose $370 million in disgorgement against Donald Trump. He has the ability to take away his ability to run businesses in New York and to force him to liquidate his properties in New York. So I think.
So Barbara McQuade, brilliant woman, nails that home. She's sitting there saying, well, he just won the day. You let him speak, he won. Yay, yay, good for Trump. Why would the judge do that? Why? Because it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that Trump speaks. The judge has pretty much made his decision. Unless Trump says something really remarkable or presents some new evidence, which he's not going to fucking do.
I don't know. I mean, I see what her point is, though. Like, yes, I do agree with you, but on her point, and letting him speak and all of that jazz, you really did just give him the stage for, like, to do his little, like, political nonsense again. And I don't know. I'm kind of with her that that's kind of obnoxious.
I understand that, but you're looking at it from a political standpoint, which is yes. Not incorrect. But you have to look at it from a legal standpoint. Doesn't matter in this case.
Oh, legally and for that case, no, it doesn't make a difference at all. It's just in the larger sort of scheme of things, and he's still making a presidential run and all that sort of stuff.
Well, and furthermore, the judge is going to make his ruling, and I would bet you dollars to pesos he's going to smack him with the maximum and just cripple the guy. And Trump's going to appeal it. So why not let him speak? Because then he can't say, well, the judge wouldn't let me speak. He can't say anything. He can't say, well, I was being, mistreated or anything like that. The judge has been more than fair. In fact, he's been excessively more than fair, more than you would treat anybody else. So in an appeal, Trump's got nothing. So basically, you're giving him enough rope to hang himself, as far as the judge is concerned, from a legal perspective. You're right from a political perspective. Yeah, maybe that makes Trump look good to who? His fucking base. They're already with him. That doesn't add anything to the fire. It's not like he's going to get more followers from this shit. Right? But the judge had the right point. Just give him enough rope to hang himself. Why not? I mean, the guy's obviously a fucking menace.
Yeah, all true.
Right? So Barbara McQuade's absolutely right. Who cares? Who cares if he talks on a legal perspective? I guess from a political perspective, for the news of the day, yeah, Trump got his words in and claimed that he was the victim and blah, 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 blah. Right? That's a little slightly undercut by this fact, because this happened the morning before that hearing where Trump spoke and claimed he was the victim, and the court was coming after him, and Judge Engoron was corrupt and all that shit. This happened to Engoron the morning before.
As we know, there was reporting this morning that Judge Engoron in Nassau County had a bomb threat at his home. We don't have any specificity as to whether or not he was actually inside his home when that bomb threat came through, but Nassau County police responded there. Nonetheless, court is going to go on as scheduled beginning at 10 a.m. And there has been really a lot of back and forth over the last couple of days as to whether Trump was going to be able to offer his own closing remarks today. And finally,
So Judge Engoron had a bomb threat at his house that same morning. And this is not the first death threat he's gotten over the last, couple months this case has gone through. This is multiple death threats. They have 200 plus pages of documents of threats to him and his clerk from Trump supporters. This guy's been threatened up, down, and sideways. And he still showed up to court after a bomb threat at his house. That same morning, he still showed up to court to rule on that. And then Trump got up and talked about what a victim he was after Trump spouted all that shit and set that on him. I mean, it's so stupid. I mean, you're going to go to court. The guy's going to rule on you. And it's like, look, he's an asshole. You should kill him. We're going to threaten him. We're going to kill his family. We're going to kill his friends, his dog. We're going to burn his house down. He's a fucking piece of shit. But I hope he rules in my favor. I mean, what the fuck is that?
My mind goes to two different places. First of all, it's like, God, it's pretty idiotic to be like threatening or having your base threatening the guy who's like, you know, got a decision about you in the palm of his hand. But then, you know, my other thought is that I believe this judge is going to do what he believes is fair under the law, regardless of all of that. However, God, it's still like, it's stupid. It's pretty stupid to be like, oh yeah, this is the guy who's got a big chunk of my future, like my financial stuff, my all of this stuff right in the palm of their hand. Let's cause as much chaos and be as much of a menace to them as humanly possible.
Yeah, because in Trump's mind, he's not playing to him. He's playing to the crowd.
Yeah.
He's playing to, well, look, if I get reelected, then I can pardon myself and I'm above all the law and it won't matter. And I'll just be, you know, I'll be king. I'll be Putin. I'll be, you know, Duterte, Pol Pot, you know, Netanyahu, any of those motherfuckers. You can name them. I mean, there is a weird rise in fascism that's happening again. And here we are, it's almost a century later, and it's happening again, that we're coming back to this. And the bottom line is, you know, this time we have to shut it down now. And I think Engoron made the right decision. Shut it down now. Don't give him any ammunition. He wants to speak and hang himself, let him hang himself. It's the old saying, if your opponent is making a mistake, don't correct him. Let him do it.
Just let him.
But yeah, I mean, I think that was the right decision. But yeah, I mean, I think he's going to get nailed with the 370 million, maybe more. I think his licenses are going to be pulled. His sons won't be able to do business. He won't be able. Sorry. He won't be able to do business. I think the whole thing. I think the empire is gone. The whatever little was left of it. I don't think there was much because he lied about everything he had. That was what that whole case was about. He's not as rich as he says he is. In fact, basically, he's coasted on credit off his father's name for his entire life.
Right.
I don't think he's worth shit. I think he's in the red. And I think most of it, because a lot of it comes from what is it, Deutsche Bank, or was it Deutsche or Credit Suisse? I think it's Deutsche Bank.
I really don't recall.
But I think they're high risk loans, and a lot of his loans come from places like Russia. And then he just got tagged recently where they figured out that he took a lot of money from foreign countries while he was president as bribes. So just shady business altogether.